All right. All right.
All right. We're doing our Matthew
All right. We are. We're totally starting off with our Matthew McConaughey because when you're your own tech person,
yeah,
you know.
Okay, if this one disappears, don't look at my house.
So we are.
Are we live and I'm talking?
I think we are live. Hello.
I will get closer.
And
I should turn my phone to...
See, one of the nice things about all of this additional technology is that it will tell us if we are actually live. Because this is how you work. Hello.
Don't you know I'm on TV?
She's on TV, and yet her phone is talking. My name is Kate. This is Arwen, and thank you so much for tuning in to our conversation around two different Cirque du Tarots. And a third, because she likes to toss in some surprises. We are joining you from Rio Rancho, New Mexico, on traditional Diné, Jicarilla, Apache, and Pueblo lands, and the Zuni people are pretty nearby also.
Yes, they are.
Have I forgotten anybody?
We have Ute, we have Navajo, we have Pueblo.
That's Diné. Navajo, Diné, same thing.
Diné, sorry.
That's okay.
I believe that's who we have now. I don't know who we had before.
Cool.
The Plains people might have been down here, but I don't know.
Yeah, there was so much more travel and trade than we were taught in school.
Right? And they were smarter than we were taught.
So much smarter than we were taught. And we are in a beautifully built straw bale house. Thank you. In the library that my parents built. So, let's see.
I killed Kate in the library with the microphone. I love actresses. They're never over the top. And I fought her to life. Okay. Oh my God. Am I going to do this the entire time?
Aren't y'all supposed to be talking about tarot? Isn't that what this was actually supposed to be about? But, not 100% sure that we're live yet. And it does not, even though it looks like we're live, it does not.
We're going to have to do all this shit again.
We might. We're going to find out right now.
Yes.
We're looking. No, it's working!
And I cussed already.
You did! You did. Well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Thank you.
So,
I'm pulling it up so I can watch the chat.
What? Yes, because, so one of the downfalls of using the OBS software when you don't have a tech person is that there's no way for us to, actually type except with our phone. So there's that little bit of a lag that we are aware of. So my name is Kate Mura. I facilitate group tarot readings, and every month somewhere around the full moon, I do a YouTube live with different deck reviews, some that I have been gifted, Cirque du Tarot by Leeza Robertson, illustrated by Josh Tufts. I hope I am remembering your name correctly. This was a gift from the Edge magazine, where I am a columnist with Card of the Week. And my first Cirque du Tarot by 78 Artists is one that I purchased at the Northwest Tarot Symposium. It was probably Newt's 2018.
I was
Were you there?
I taught there. Yeah, I did a class on the tarot talking to each other. You stood up and you embodied a card and talked.
Why didn't I take that class?
I don't know.
That's right up my alley.
Yeah, well, there was a really good class. I think Mary Kay Greer or somebody was against me.
Oh, if Mary K. Greer was against you, that is in fact, and Mary K. Greer is the reason why I attended that conference in the first place, because I had just finished reading Women of the Golden Dawn, Rebels and Priestesses.
Did you get a chance to talk to her about it? I did. Did you bring the book?
No, because I had borrowed it from the library. I did not own my own copy at that point.
Yeah.
I know. I have my own copies now.
And y'all should know Mary Kay said that she was sitting in the bar and people would come in and go and sit somewhere else, and she's like, I'm in the bar for a reason.
I want people to talk with me.
She's super cool. She's very, very nice. So I made loud noises. I don't. Okay.
By all means, like, be comfy. Like, backs must be happy.
Ooh, do not lay your head back. I get very dizzy. I have bad vertigo.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. See, we'll be good. Just keep talking.
Yeah.
Are my eyes doing the thing?
Ooh, I don't know. What thing do they do?
If I get really dizzy, they do the dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Okay.
Nope.
I want y'all to know that Kate has the best setup here, and she has a puzzle on which the puzzle says overloaded with unhappy shouting chickens. You don't know how hard it has been for me not to lift the computer up and pluck it out and go, what is it?
Well, I guess I know what we're doing while we're waiting for massages. We're going to do a puzzle. After we're going to do a YouTube live and actually talk about these decks. So, my guest here, Arwen Lynch Poe. Many of y'all will remember from last month when we were in 2 separate screens. We're together now because we are both in Rio Rancho.
Yes, but she doesn't stay here. It's rude. She comes here and gives me all this gorgeous Kate energy, and we go do fun things like go to Botanicas and then find Indian buffets. Yum, 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 yum. East Indian, not indigenous buffets, but Indian.
Although we got both here in New Mexico.
We do?
It's the indigenous is not a buffet, but yeah, at the Pueblo Center, their restaurant.
I didn't know they had a restaurant there.
Well, it was closed for a big chunk of the pandemic, so.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah, but yes, it is there, and they have fantastic food. So,
are y'all hungry yet? What are we doing today? We are torturing people.
So, the first...
Hey, Amber. Sorry.
Hello! Oh, yes! Yay!
The Cartomancer magazine is here. Big plug. If you don't subscribe to the Cartomancer, go do it now or donate $5 to Group Tarot. I mean, seriously.
You know. And I'm going to be in the Cartomancer magazine.
Me too.
When are you going to be in the Cartomancer magazine?
In the upcoming issue.
Excellent. What are you going to be? What's your article on?
I've got 2. I've got one on, I can't tell because Amber, will you yell at me if I tell? But one is going to be an interview with a very interesting person from U.S. Games, their art director.
Ooh, exciting. Well, I will not ask you any more because this is completely impromptu and not planned. And we're so like that together. And we also happen to know some really flippin' amazing people who are doing really kick-ass stuff in this world,
yes.
Which is a really beautiful thing to say because, as y'all know, there's a lot of awful stuff happening in the world right now.
Yeah. And I don't know if the Cartomancer is actually Amber. It might be Jen, who does a lot of the social media, Jen Sankey. She does Stardust Wandering? Jen, I don't know. Jen Sankey, Sankey.
It's okay. One of the things that I do with all of the YouTube lives is that I place all of the links to things that we talk about because we improvise and we talk fast and we talk off the top of our heads
and over each other.
Just a little, just a skosh.
That's me.
And so I take the time and put links in all of the bio afterwards. So for those of you joining live, thank you and welcome. Come on back when it and we're just doing a little bit of Meisner exercises here too. Hello, Amber.
Yay.
You were right the first time. Those gut instincts. I put all of the links to things that we talk about in the chat, and it will include links to the decks, obviously, 78 Tarot, Cirque du Tarot by 78 artists, and Cirque du Tarot by Leeza Robertson. 78. Let's start here first. So I'm so excited.
I don't have my own copy of Leeza's deck, damn Aussie. So
it's okay. So one of the when I was at Newt's, one of the main reasons why I picked up this deck is because in my other life I am a theater artist, and so artists supporting artists is super important to me, and I did not even realize that there was like a huge indie deck culture until I went to Newt's. And I mean, by the time I went to Newt's, I had already been reading for almost 20 years, because I'm almost at 25 years at this point, and like it seriously never even occurred to me. I'm very
Did you go by the U.S. Games table where they were selling a magazine too?
I'm sure I went past
I was there. Cameron may have been there. They are the Tarot Parlor, Cameron Ayers, and they're in Portland.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love Cameron.
I don't think I know Cameron.
They watched my booth for me quite a bit, so.
That was when I also met Christine Ashworth, who is also a writer for the Cartomancer.
Oh wait, was
magazine.
Christine there? Were Christine and I?
Maybe I'm wrong on the year. Maybe it was 2019. I didn't think it was that close to the pandemic starting.
No, I was there. I may have been there earlier. I was at the second one. That may have been 16, 17.
Oh, I was definitely not at that one.
Okay.
That was earlier than me.
Oh well, we didn't pass each other in passing.
Oh well. And so one of the reasons why I purchased this deck and one of the others is because I absolutely adored the philosophy of having a different artist create every single card. Like, I loved that, because all of the decks that I had up until that point, and still today, are all illustrated by the same artist. And so I both wanted something different, and I wanted to support artists directly. I almost didn't buy this deck because it was printed in China, but I decided to do it anyway.
A lot of indie decks are printed in China too, and it's simply, at this point, if you choose an indie deck printed in China versus an indie deck printed here, can be anywhere from $30 to $50 higher.
Yeah.
And as a collector, it's hard, right? Because I have ethics, but
we also have budgets, and we live in late stage capitalism.
Can I tell you what my reaction was to the idea of a deck with all a bunch of different artists?
Yes,
I hated it.
Then why did you get the deck?
I met Katie, and I met Joanna, and I met Trish. They were all at the Newts I went to, all three of them. And Scotty was there too, Katie's husband. And I thought, well, I like these women. I like them. I'm going to get a deck. And then I bought another collector's deck collection. I got 7 50-pound boxes of books and decks. Yeah, that's why I'm selling so many decks.
Which, by the way, if you want to look at the decks that Arwen is selling, you can go to her website, and she has a whole link. Oh, you don't? I thought you did.
It's the wrong link. I got to update. It will be the right link eventually by Monday.
There we go.
Totes.
There we go.
So I got this, and I was like, oh. So instead of 78, a gallery of 78 of the same artist, I get, yes. Woo! And since then, I've gotten involved. I actually got to be one of the jury people for, I think the Elemental version was the one I was a jury person for. And I get them all now. So.
That's awesome. I just adore the High Priestess card in this one. I have a super, super minor circus background. from studying at Del Arte and taking a handful of trapeze classes with Do Jump in Portland and Night Flight also in Portland. And so anytime that there is a deck that weaves multiple things that I love together, I just adore that. And one of the things that I didn't know that I had kind of mixed feelings about when I opened up the deck, because this is actually a deck that I purchased like sort of sight unseen, because you know, one of the other things with indie decks is that, you know, the budgets are a lot tighter, so they're not necessarily going to take a deck and put a hole punch through it so that, you know, people can look at all of the cards before buying, you know, because I think this deck cost me somewhere between, I want to say it was somewhere between $35 and $55. Like, it was hands down the most I had ever spent on a deck. It is not the most expensive deck that I own, but at the time it was the most that I had ever paid for a deck. And, you know, like, that has weight.
And you think about it, they're paying the artists.
They
pay themselves.
78 artists.
They pay. Well, sometimes it's not 78. Sometimes I think they have dupes in here by artists, but maybe not. No, that's the U.S. Games has a collective deck out called Pride Tarot. And is it for queers like us? It is for queers like us. And I actually got to help do 2 of the cards. I wrote the words for 2 of the cards. True story. I had the Queen of Swords and the King of Wands, and I totally wrote the King of Wands as the King of Pentacles. You're welcome. It talks about the King of Wands and how he's slow and steady and makes good decisions. And I'm reading it going, who wrote this crap? Oh. But the Queen of Swords is a drag queen. And the King of Wands is a hot motorcycle dyke. Butch.
Yes.
Daddy. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, a friend of a friend gave us permission to use his, HYS, picture for and motorcycle for that. And I actually asked a famous drag queen if we could use her likeness, and she declined because we couldn't pay for it. Totally understand.
That's fair.
Right?
Totally fair.
And so we used kind of a compilation, and the artist is Marco Priotti, who did, I probably just butchered his name, but he did the Bianco Nero tarot. It's a black and white woodcut deck, and I did that. Pretty. I wrote that with him. So, but we're talking about, look at this. Look at Kiri's. And Kiri,
oh my gosh, that one's one of my favorites.
Is a mom. Well, I'll show you the microphone.
well, I mean, the cards do speak.
I did that again.
Ooh,
here, I hand this to you and you show it.
There we go.
I can shut my eyes for a minute.
Yep, do it.
Y'all, I'm having a really bad vertigo today, and I don't know why.
I'm so sorry. Well, I'm glad you're getting massage afterwards.
Yeah, I apologize. I have my dizzy pills, but they're in the car. I couldn't get to the car right now anyway.
No,
y'all hear a big old
we're gonna keep you right here in this chair. Yeah, exactly. Those feet on the ground.
But yeah, Kiri did this beautiful little page.
One of the things that I wasn't sure if I would like about this deck, but ended up really enjoying, is like because it's done by lots of different artists as opposed to one artist, there are some things that are super similar in cards that are both similar and different. So, like, for example, the Empress, the Ace of Swords, and the Seven of Pentacles, which this is such a...
I was just looking at that.
It's such a not necessarily Seven of Pentacles-esque energy to me. And Like, that was that was my initial gut reaction when I was, like, going through the decks.
Mm-hmm.
But when this card has actually come up in readings, it almost always has either tied in really cleanly and clearly to another card in the deck, whether that's the Empress, and then, like, the similarities between these two cards being so keen that it's like sometimes the Empress also has to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you...
And I think the 7, not the 7, it's the 9. The 9 of Earth for me has Empress energy. But this one does, because her shovel's tied. Yeah. And so that's why, the Morning Glories and all that have tied her up, and she's vined in.
Yeah, super
This
vined
is
in.
one I think they really... Doing a circus deck for me has a lot of energy around it, right? Because we've got animals who have not been treated well over the years. Mm-hmm. And I'm really sensitive about that. My hometown had a circus elephant who had broken her ankle, and it was getting harder and harder for her to... They kept her in the show, but they finally brought her, and our zoo took her in. But she had like a concrete... It wasn't a very good place for her. But she finally... You may know her name. Her name is Shirley. And if you've heard the story of Shirley and Jenny at the Elephant Sanctuary, that's Shirley, who I knew to touch her trunk, right? She's a very friendly elephant, very engaging with people. And if she could get close to you, she would put her trunk out. Mm. But when they took her to the Elephant Sanctuary, they always, put them aside, right? They quarantined them. But another elephant named Jenny and she were like bonkers to get to each other. Bonkers. They'd never had this happen before. They researched it. Jenny and Shirley had been in the same show together. They knew each other. And if you look up Shirley, and Jenny Shirley has passed. Has Jenny passed?
I don't know.
Shirley just passed like a year or two ago. She was quite elderly. And, but if you look up Shirley and Jenny, you'll find their story. They did like a video on it. So, and I have, my Amazon set up so that when I buy Amazon, it goes to what's called Amazon Smile. And my give is to the Elephant Sanctuary in Grindelwald, Tennessee.
Aw, that's super sweet.
But look at this.
Yeah.
Look at that elephant. I'm gonna try to stand up. See if I don't fall over. I haven't put my head down. So what I like about this is that the 7 of Cards, the thief, there's more than him just stealing here. Look at that elephant. But look at what he's stealing. Those stinking elephant hooks they use. They hurt. They're not fun. So I'm really glad that a lot of circuses are going to human-only acts.
Yeah, me too. Because there is so much that they can do with the ribbon dancing and contortionists and all of the different aerial acts, all of the different clowns and clowning.
Here's a slackline worker. The 6 of Pentacles.
Yeah, I do love that slackline one.
I just learned there was a difference between slack and tight line, y'all, so I'm trying to show off that I'm knowledgeable.
Oh, good job.
I learned like a month ago.
Good job. One of the other things that I have always enjoyed the Hanged Man of this one.
Yes.
Because of the underwater Houdini, although I will say that this card now has an additional layer of story, and I don't know what the movie is, and I am actually not going to try and find it and link to it or give them any publicity, but there was a movie that was done recently that I was listening to an interview with one of the people who was involved in the film, and they were doing an act like this, and they didn't have a safe word, and so the person who was submerged in the water literally started dying, and that person's spouse was on the other side of the glass as one of the filmmakers, and was like, "Get my spouse fucking out." And apparently, I believe the interview. As I said, I have done no additional research on this because I do not want to plug or support any of this awfulness. Mm-mm. But supposedly they kept that footage in the fucking film. And so, like, now when I look at this card, safe words and knowing what you're getting into and knowing that the Hanged Man is a card about sacrifice, but that you have to be smart about what it is that you are sacrificing
So
and
good.
why. Like, so much deeper, because now there's all, like, from hearing that story and that person's experience, there's also this additional layer of making sure that the people that you have around you are also, like, aware that they're the ones there doing fire watch for you, that they're the you know, safe dungeon masters, like, things like that when I have no idea if the artist David Van Gogh, I really hope I'm saying your name correctly.
Is it Van Gogh or Van Gogh? It's the artist is Van Gogh.
Van Gogh?
Yeah, so I don't know.
I don't know. Like,
we Americans.
I know. I would say Van Gogh. It could also be Van Gogh.
Let's
David,
just call him.
Vangoughh. So now there's this whole additional, like, layer when I see this card that's triggered from that story.
And I'm a fan of the 10 of... I'm not going to... Well, I am. Let's see. Because this makes me think of Where's Waldo?
Yeah, totally.
It's 10 of Pentacles. And it's just a great fun card. But we should probably
shift to the other Cirque du Tarot. And it was funny because when the editor of The Edge reached out to me asking if I would like a copy of Cirque du Tarot for review, I was like, I actually already have one. But then I was like, Kelly usually gets things that are, you know, up and coming and, you know, for things like this to give greater publicity and visibility to all of the amazing deck creators and artists out there. I was like, who's it by? And, you know, she sent me and I was like, there is another Cirque du Tarot, and I was a bit indignant. And
I think
I was there. I had this moment of like, Llewellyn, why did you choose a title that already exists? They're so different, and they have the exact same name.
Yes, but it didn't. Was it Alana Fairchild, or didn't she do a Cirque Tarot also?
Is there a third?
Maybe. Well, and there's this, but maybe. But yeah, I think because of Cirque du Soleil. I mean,
yeah, it totally makes sense, and the decks are completely different. And
we'll call it Llewellyn Cirque.
Well,
and
yeah, Llewellyn Cirque.
Katie Joanna and 78
artists Cirque. And Kelly was so right. I fell in love with this deck. And so the card that I want to start with is the Hierophant, because as I said earlier, and I'm putting half of these because I know you haven't gotten to play with these.
Please tell me the Hierophant is the Ringmaster.
No, well, sort of. The Ringmaster is the Fool, and so what's great about the story of the Major Arcana for this deck is that the Ringmaster goes through all of the Major Arcana in some fashion. Yeah, so this deck, for those of y'all who like tarot decks that really focus on the hero, shiro, heroine, what's a gender neutral for hero and shiro?
The star. Throwing that out there. The star of the story. The main character, the MC.
The main character, the MC of where they follow that journey through the Major Arcana. This is a fantastic deck for you.
I'm liking what I see.
What's popping out for you?
Well, the Two of Cups I like because there's a trapeze artist as an angel. And I actually thought it was Temperance at first, but she's pouring down, I guess, to another character who is a water character. So you've got the the air, water, the transformative energy, and it's in a pearl. And the pearl transforms bits of sand. So...
Mm-hmm. This deck does, it seems like you...
I don't.
Oh, there we go. There's that. So one of the things that I love about this...
I've got some majors, but none of them are the hero.
Where's my Hierophant? The Hierophant is... Here it is.
The Hierophant is very fussy sometimes.
She is. So... Because...
Oh, the director of
she's
everything.
The stage manager. She's the stage manager and the production manager of it all. And it is sacred and it is all of the things. Oh, and I love that so much.
I think I love that so much. The rules keeper, right? The rules keeper, and they're a spiritual piece of it. But if you manifest the Hierophant as yourself, that means you're following your own rules. Now, my rules may not be Kate's rules, and vice versa, right? But for me, I used to hate the Hierophant. It was the card that would pull up in a reading and be like,
I do not come from a Christian background. I do not care about the Pope.
Well, and I'm Pisces. I don't want anybody giving me rules because I'm going to swim all the way I want to.
Well, one of the things that has always stuck out for me from the traditional iconography of the Hierophant is the reminder that you have to talk with the people. And if you are like, because when it's traditionally done, they're the two people with their backs to whoever's looking at the card, and then the Pope or bishop figure is literally talking over them. And so one of the things, at least for me, that comes up in readings a lot when that card comes up, and when it is not the fantastic reimagining of Leeza Robertson and Josh Tufts. I really hope I'm remembering the illustrator's name correctly. Is that you have to be careful about not talking over people, and that if you are
because
around...
talking over people is rude.
We illustrate this so well. And if you are like it, I find it to be an invitation to think about whether you as an individual are talking over people, or whether you are allowing yourself to be talked over. And is that healthy? Maybe, maybe not. Do you want to change that situation and take the next step into the lovers and bringing in some like equal love in your life? Maybe you do. But the Hierophant of this deck sealed my love for it and evaporated any of my like initial residual, why are you naming it the same thing?
Yeah, I go into my 5-year-old, you can't tell me what to do. Remind me to tell you about my very favorite, the perfect for me Hierophant card.
Why don't you talk about it right now?
I will. It's from Frank Fedella, who is actually an artist in 78 Tarot quite often. And he did...
Frank Fedella?
Yeah, he did the 9 of Wands in that, I think. Or the 2 of Wands. It's you'll see a man doing a fire card. He does it's out of print, sadly. It was a U.S. Games deck, and it's called Frank Fedella Adventure Tarot.
I like the name.
It used to be my main reading deck. And sometimes I fall back to it, but it's a world of superheroes that he created. Mm-hmm. And the Hierophant shows the swan getting the key to the city. Mm-hmm. And you read about them in the book that comes with it, but the swan is not a superhero. The swan is a guy that puts on a costume. He has no superpowers. He's just a regular Joe. And he does good for the sake of doing good.
Yes, more of that, please.
Perfect Hierophant to me. Because he's not telling anybody else what to do. He is walking his talk. Right? And I love it. It's just perfect. And he's getting the key to the city. You know, that's the whole... I don't know how many keys to the city Albuquerque gives out. Probably a lot. But it's the idea we trust you so much, and we believe in you, and you can lead us, that we're going to put you in charge this way. So it's a wonderful deck. Did you find them?
I did. Frank Fedella in this one did the 7 of Wands.
Yeah. And Frank Fradella, y'all, is an amazing creator. If you don't follow him, you really should. He's got twins now, so you hear about his babies a lot. Well, they're not babies anymore, but yeah.
So delightful. It used to be my favorite Hierophant before this one, and in some, like, they kind of have to split first place for me, because my other favorite Hierophant card is from Cade Burkhammer's Wise Fool Tarot, and it's a little kid with a Pope hat and a big anarchist t-shirt sitting on top of a stack of books of every single sacred text from every single culture around the world, and a couple backwards, which for me, I don't know if this is something that Cade intended or not, but for me, I look at those reversed books as being symbolic for those that have oral traditions where their sacred texts are not written down. Again, that might just be my addition as a reader. I don't want to, put things on Cade that they didn't intend, and I'm not sure Cade's pronouns either.
I don't
but
know. They're
lovely. I got a reading from them at Newt's.
Is the cover of the very first Cartomancer when it was put out by Jadzia and Jay Forrest.
Aww.
That's the very first Cartomancer. That's what, when you were talking about, like, I know that card. I don't have that deck, but
they were the keynote artist at the Newt's that I went to.
And the magazine came about after the first Newt's. It started in 2015. I'm almost positive. I don't know if Amber's still with us, but
yeah. So one of the other shifting back to the Llewellyn Cirque du Tarot, one of the other things that I love about this deck is how they have handled the knights. And this was actually really intentionally done by Leeza, I was reading, that they are both equally masculine and feminine, that there are, and the illustration, it's kind of hard to tell here, but there is a more feminine side symbolized by the smooth skin, and there is a more masculine side symbolized by the mustache. Of course, there are plenty of women who may have mustaches and plenty of men who do not. So, that is not necessarily the indicator, but that is what the artist has done to remind the reader and remind the recipient that we got all of that in all of our bodies, regardless of sex and gender. And I love that they really had some intentionality.
I wish more decks would take that into consideration and make gender fluid, or the Herb Crafter's Tarot by Joanna Paul Colbert, and Letitia Guthrie uses hands. And it's all feminine. But you still, and they used Hispanic or Latina. I'm in New Mexico and I lived in Texas, so Hispanic is a more common term for me because that's pretty much what people call themselves. But it's really a beautiful deck. And I like Barbara Moore's steampunk. Totally gender fluid. So, yeah, we need more of that. We have to recognize that our gender identification is chosen. Yeah. I choose that I present as female, because that's what I feel. But I have friends, a young friend, just college sophomore this year. And they are a he, him. But I met them as a she, her. So I get to make this shift. It's easy enough. I have many, many friends in the community.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So, yeah. It's just respectful.
Disrespectful.
I mean, I wouldn't call her Kitty.
Wow.
Just because her name is Kate. Right? And my first name is Stephanie. And I'll tell you what, if you call me Steffi, you're going to see a side of me you don't like. Look, the hands, the finger points up and the head goes sideways.
So because I'm a Scorpio, like there now is this big part of me that's like, what happens if I call you that? What happens if I call you that?
Do I look like I'm sucking a lollipop and have pigtails?
No, but I could make you a wig that does that.
Ooh.
So,
okay. Sorry, we're back.
Not sorry. That's exactly why I wanted to do something like this with you. Like, I love this.
Ooh.
So, yeah. So one of the other things that Llewellyn published, Cirque du Tarot, is that they also have all of this backstage life. And as somebody who has literally grown up in theaters, I started off as a dancer when I was 4, and I have been continuously a part of the theater since then. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am. You can guess, but it is quite a few decades more than 4.
Meaning of life.
It's true. And so I love how many of the cards in this deck show backstage life.
Yeah.
They show props, they show costumes, they show dressing rooms, all of the pages. Yeah. Oh my God, the lovers, you have the lovers. Okay, so this is also one of my favorites. And it's because, and here these 2 performers are that are normally stars of the show, but they are taking this little teeny tiny quick private moment backstage to just really be with each other and away from the lights, away from the crowds, away from the performativeness, and to just be themselves. Yes. And I mean, isn't that so much of what it is to really be in love with someone, to not have to wear the masks, to not have to put on the show, to be able to just fully be warts and all, as is, as Ani DeFranco loves to sing, and I love to listen to. Like, I love that.
I got to hear Ani DeFranco before she was famous.
Where were you?
I don't like Ani DeFranco's music. I love the words. I love reading her lyrics. She's one of the most amazing poets. But her music is too frenetic for me. When I tell you I'm an old folkie, I'm an old folkie.
It's fair.
So I was the meaning of life a while ago. But yeah, and here they've got the Page of Pentacles getting ready. Mm-hmm. Right?
And that is out. And that is actually one of the themes for all of the pages. Oh, is that they are all...
Oh, here's the Page of Swords, you're right.
Yeah, they are all getting ready in their own ways.
That's good.
Yep, there are color differences and there are...
Body shape differences. This one you can tell is a little more hourglass. That's a little more swimmer.
And the Page of Pentacles, if we can find that one, the skin tone is a lot darker.
I almost that's
the Page of Pentacles. This deck overall has a very sort of Roman-esque, like straight-nosed characteristic. It doesn't have nearly as much variety of body shape and
you must have
pigment. I do. Here it is. And pigmentation difference that I personally like and prefer, because that's the world we live in. So that's the world I want to be reading for and supporting.
I mean, look, we're different colors, but we're
both white, but there's differences, and we like people. we like things that aren't just white. So it's not the easiest to tell here, but there is definitely more melanin in a lot of the cups than there are. But in terms of like different body sizes and different abilities being shown, this doesn't have a whole lot of that. Is saving the Emperor with the sort of typical strongman ness to it, but
and
then
I love the little guy down there.
Yeah.
I'm strong too.
I am. We're strong at all sizes. We are strong at all sizes. So, Yeah. I feel pretty well compared. And here's the surprise.
Circus Clown Ranch.
Okay, so what do you want to tell us about this? Now, is this a tarot deck or is this a Lenormand?
It's a tarot deck.
It's a tarot deck.
I'm selling all of mine. This is the Legrand Circus and Sideshow Tarot. The back says, step right up. Oh, you can't see that. I'll give that to you. And the front says something too, but I don't know where the front is. Oh, wait, I found it. It is by Joe Lee. Joe Lee does graphics, and he has done these kind of posters. And this is what this is supposed to be, is kind of a postery tarot.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And it's got some interesting pieces. It does backstage.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of backstage. He does old school circus stuff. And one of the things that people do not like about this deck is that it does show some of the animal stuff going on.
Yeah, that was one that I pulled out.
Yeah, and I think it's but if you look at the expressions of the animal, I believe he's showing us the expression as not being happy, as not being, I'm working for the circus.
Yeah, I definitely feel sadness in that elephant's eye, personally.
Here's the High Priestess and the Hanged Man.
Oh, interesting. It goes back to the old term Pope-s.
Yeah.
You know more about tarot history and herstory than I do. Do you know when things shifted out of Pope-s and shifted into Empress?
That's actually the High Priestess.
What did I just say?
You said the Empress.
Oh, thank you for correcting me.
At least I don't hear well, so she may have said High Priestess. But
they may have misspoke.
I don't know. I know that when the tarot first came out, they did not have the Devil or the Tower. I believe those two were not included.
I didn't know that.
But the Marseille decks, or the Marseille decks were... Is it Marseille or Marseille?
Marseille.
The Marseille decks were one of the first. There's another deck...
The
Atelier.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a different... right now we talk about Marseille, Thoth, and RWS. But there are two other... Solabusca may be one of them.
Solabusca is one of the oldest ones from Italy. And it was the one that was on display at the British Museum that Pamela Coleman Smith and Arthur Waite and other members of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn would go and look at. That became one of the foundational pieces for the Rider-Waite Smith Tarot. Thank you very much for all of your research. Mary Greer.
Right. And if you are at or near New York City, go to Pierpont Morgan Museum. You will see original Visconti Sforza tarot cards there.
How long has that been there?
I was this many days old. Kate was this many days old when she learned this. I learned it a couple of years ago because Reader Studio, Robert Place does this. He'll take a group down. They let him go down to the basement where they've got the other cards where they can see them. And he talks. That's why his decks are so amazing. But yeah, and I have seen them. It's just like you just stand there and go.
Well, the reason why I am so incredulous, and I dropped one of the cards on the floor.
What did you throw on the floor? What jumped?
Justice totally slipped out of my hands as I was about to put it down because I was like, this is a fantastic rendition of the Justice card.
Oh, yeah.
And
where did it go?
Like, seriously.
Did it go under?
Did it go under my chair? Oh, yeah, it did. It went under my chair. Justice went under my chair.
Video?
Well, the reason why I am so, and this is the card, and I love this. I love that we have this strong black woman balancing a sword on her head or their head. Don't want to make assumptions of gender, but my incredulousness.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites because of the character portrayed.
My incredulousness is because I am originally from New Jersey, and I have spent lots of time in New York City between the shows that I have been in, the repertory companies I have been a part of, the shows that I have seen, the museums I have gone to, and I didn't.
Have you been to the Pierpont?
No.
The Pierpont Morgan Museum is the Pierpont family were one of the. If you're watching The Gilded Age, they were one of those families.
Yeah,
and so this
I'm
is
familiar
one of their
with them, but
huge homes that's been turned into a museum. And it's when I went. No, this was a different place I went to. Never mind. I went to a different. They were also doing a Tolkien.
Oh, nice.
Y'all know my name is Arwen, right? And I walked in and saw hand-drawn maps and handwriting. And then you turn the corner and there's more stuff that's not Tolkien. And I realized I had this moment of literally true singing in my head. Because I turned and there's this pencil sketch. Okay. Da Vinci?
Oh, yeah.
And it suddenly clicks for me. And this has never happened before, which is kind of weird. But it clicks for me that I am looking at a piece of paper that Da Vinci touched.
I had a similar experience when I was performing in Avignon, France at the Avignon Off Festival. Avignon was a place where a lot of Da Vinci and similar artists of that time would go down and do like retreats at, and there's this one, really unassuming manor house that is a museum and maintained as it would have been a house back in the day. And it has all of this amazing art and sketches and things from these masters, because the woman who owned the house would just let them stay and be paid in artwork. And so there were Da Vinci's there that I had never seen, and that you're never gonna see unless you go to Avignon, France.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to remember. They had some postcards for sale, and they might have had one coffee table book in French, but it's not something that has wide distribution,
Hey Skittles, honey, we're not we probably aren't doing readings like that, so sorry. I see that you're asking about you and Bella and a yes/no question. And honey, yes/no questions are a waste of your time, because when you ask that question, you already know the answer in your heart.
Yeah. And for yes/no questions, for exactly that reason, my go-to, a lot of people love pendulums, and that's a beautiful thing, but my personal go-to, I flip a dime, and I'm very specific about it being a dime. One, because of the, old song, Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? But also because the weight of a dime is the most even.
I did not know that.
Of all of the coins. Quarters, the head side is always a little heavier because of the imprint of the mold. And so dimes are some of the most evenly distributed weight. And I will flip a dime, and I will go, and I will, whichever heads yes, tails yes, whatever that is totally, on you and your choice. Ooh, pretty. Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely.
Heck yeah, and no, I have a little coin from Sandy Bartholomew, Bee's Knees Ink. And I just got it. I haven't played with it, but yeah.
And what I have found 100% of the time, I have done this for myself, is that either when that yes comes, there's part of me that's like, yes, vindication. And I go off and I do it and I feel great. Or it flips and I see the no and I'm like, yeah, I really didn't want to do that anyway. Okay, thank you for the vindication. Or that middle place of oh, no. And in that moment, that's when I realized, oh, I obviously really wanted the yes.
I'm gonna
Okay, I'm gonna go do that, because you don't have to do what the coin tells you to do. The coin is a tool for you to really sit into your own alignment and be like, oh, that is actually what I really wanted to do. Is that vertigo?
I did it
hitting you
again. Yeah,
again?
if I move my head the wrong way,
Mm.
not good. But y'all, ask a question you know the answer to for yourself.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
It is correct. Ask a question that you know the answer to.
Or I'll ask a question I don't know the answer to.
Okay. Ask a question you don't know the answer to. Yes or no? Okay.
Awesome. So yeah, thanks, Sandy. I'll show you her little deck later. It's called the Faux Tarot, and it's hysterical.
Well, before we close up, I did want to circle back to one of the things that you had said about the animals.
Oh, yes.
Because I went and I pulled out some of the ones with animals in them. And like, yeah, that horse does not look happy having 3 dancers on its back. This does not have animals in it, obviously, but I absolutely adore this personal
card?
2. 3, one of the 3s.
Oh, it's a cups. There are the cups, but
Great.
I forgot yeah.
These elephants, not happy, but they're like finding solace in each other that I think is super, super sweet. And this particular shift with strength very much changes some of the energy that I normally think of.
Yes.
With strength. And I do love that the elephant is the world with their wisdom and everything, and it is a little bit of a foil for this poor sad elephant.
So and if you're an Emmett Kelly fan like I am, the Hermit, I'm going to let you do that because I don't want to do the fall thing.
Yep. Our hobo clown.
Yeah, that's an absolute tribute to Emmett Kelly, who would sweep the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very cool. And the Queen of Swords, I adore. Speaking of ladies with beards.
Indeed. Oh, I did not even notice that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Love that.
So,
I gotta admit, the Empress, I would not have been annoyed at the Empress if I had seen more large bodies in
she's the
this
fat
deck.
lady. Yeah,
but yeah, with the Empress being the fat lady, like, I don't know, that just felt stereotypical and trite.
It's a grotesque part.
To me. Yeah.
So there are things about this deck that are cool, and there are things about this deck that are like, ugh.
Yeah, like, there was... I was given a deck recently that is in a similar, like, artistic vein as this is, and like cards like this one, on one hand, is it awesome to show the skill of someone who is Arab, or is it tokenism because I did not see any other representations of awesome Arab artists here?
Yeah. And you have to remember, I look at that, and I look at this through the 50s filter, right?
Because and the 50s was even more racist than we are now.
Ugh.
Like...
Yeah, so we have to, I mean, for part of it, I kind of have to remember that. I mean, this woman has size. She's got thighs. The moon.
Yeah.
But, and in general, and that one breaks my heart. Putting up the temp.
Yeah. It is a depiction of work. That is for sure. And that elephant is not happy about its work. I'm glad that it's the 10 and that it,
a celebration card, yeah.
Things are being done and complete and moving on.
I really
think that what's next is
that Jolie did
not being in chains.
The 50s and some of these hard cards and portraying the hard stuff. One of the things, I went to a Sweet Honey in the Rock concert last night, and Louise, I think her last name is Williams, is one of the original members from like 1973, 78, no, 3, because this is their 49th year together. But she talked about the fact that sometimes we don't talk about the hard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We gloss over it.
Yeah.
Well, when you see this, you have got to talk about the hard stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to talk about animals that were made to perform with a broken ankle.
Yep.
You know, dogs that look happy enough, but they're in kennels most of their lives because they don't get time out.
People that were considered freaks and fringes of society and kicked out. One of the there's a thing called the Actors Fund, and it was started back before there was a performers union, and it was a funerary fund because actors and performers were not allowed to be buried on hallowed ground.
What?
This was at least true in New York, New Jersey area. Don't know how it spread out, but I know, right? And so the othering and the objectifying is
well, and they thought
is
performers had loose morals.
Deep
You know
in
that. Your morals. You have no
I know.
morals. Let's go have sex.
We have to talk to your husband first.
All right.
And I have a bunch of partners, so we would have to
Kind
have
of,
some,
okay.
there are conversations
Damn
that
it,
have
morals.
to happen. No.
But
Conversation.
so when you think about circus and Cirque Tarot, remember all that. If you have an incredibly strong stomach and animal abuse is something you can watch, Google elephant electrocution. Don't do it.
Mm-mm.
No. Mm-mm. It is one of the most horrific things I've ever seen in my life. So, but see joy, y'all.
Well, and thank you all for tuning in, and you illustrate a really important point, because tarot is not just about all of the good stuff. And it's not just about all of the bad stuff.
No.
It is about all of it. Because we are all complex life forms on this world with distinct ethnobiographies and genealogies. And there's a lot to unpack. And so that's part of the work that tarot helps us do individually, helps us do one-on-one sessions, which you can book with either of us, and links to that are below. And it's something that you can do in group sessions. But choosing the deck that you want to work through that stuff with is so important. Like, there are times that I'm like, I love my Wise Fool Tarot. And there are some hard images in that. Do I want to potentially be dealing with that today? No. No, I don't. Or, yep, today is the day. And so part of why I love having multiple decks is so that I can read my own energy, think about what it is that I want to be stepping into or working through or getting illumination on, and then feeling into the decks that I have at my disposal for which one will be the best support for that.
And on that note, shadow work does not mean defeating or beating your shadow. Thank you.
And before we go on a long next tangent, thank you all so much. I'm Kate Mura with grouptarot.com, and my phenomenal guest, Arwen Lynch Poe with Seek Joy.
Seek Joy, y'all. I actually just look up Tarot by Arwen. You'll find me.
Tarot by Arwen.
Mm-hmm. I'm not the one in London if she's still working. So, but if you're in London, go try her. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe if I go to London, maybe that'll be another one of these one day. Have a beautiful day.